sharing, joining from other computers as I do, etc. Okay. Live on the computer I need to be on, and now I need to share on the computer I need to be on. Share. Okay.
Okay.
Cool, yeah. So, date PR first.
Okay. Do you want to share or do you want me to share? What would be more useful to you?
I can share probably because
I mean,
yeah.
You'll probably be the one scrolling back and forth, so.
Yeah, I will. Okay, so close. Okay, I guess we'll just do a review on stream.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's closing just general adding min and max. What else is it closing? Adjusting the width.
The style thing, yeah, for the month. Matt kind of mentioned that in the issue, so I'm lumping them together.
Okay, no, that's fair. And we're addressing it by just making it slightly longer / narrower as opposed to making it configurable.
Oh. Yeah, let's not make it configurable.
Okay, that's what I thought, and I was just making sure you hadn't spent a lot of time trying to make it configurable when it seems like it would be a difficult thing to do anyway. Okay.
I think my eyes just slid over that part.
That's fine.
Just like, no.
Okay.
Nah, I don't think it. I think everybody would benefit from a longer month name. So.
No, yeah.
Month space.
Okay. We could do screen reader stuff. That would actually be kind of interesting. First 3 commits are pretty organized into chunks. If you want to see it separately, they're somewhat large. Multiple invalid. Okay, yeah. What are the... Okay. Did you note what those bugs are on submit were somewhere?
Yes, okay. In the comment.
The comment?
So I outlined behavioral questions and
in the code itself.
Well, there is some in the code itself, but if you look at the conversation, there's a link to the comment where I also just outlined all those things so they could be recorded in
the issue. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's fine.
So there's a section for bugs.
Okay.
Why didn't I just call it bugs? That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, most of those feel like they're. Yeah. Is add to groups a thing that you mentioned earlier? I do not know what add to groups is.
No, it's a thing in the code.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's like a thing that you've.
I'm just saying that like I tried to approach it with some code and I managed to solve some bugs which are no longer listed there because they're solved. But not everything. It's a note to someone. Hopefully, if someone has to dive into the jQuery validation stuff, they will find out what groups are. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
Explaining what groups are in this like comment is a bit out of scope.
No, that's fair. I would think I was mostly. I wasn't sure if it was like you had identified I wasn't sure if it was an upstream function and if you had identified that it might fix it or what you had just said of like it was something in the code.
Yeah, maybe I should try and clarify.
Probably
add groups.
You want.
Is this your local?
Take customize. Yes, it is.
Okay.
actually, I'll update that now. I don't even think I have a lot of playgrounds. I've got one project that has this silly little thing, so I'm deleting that. Okay, so this doesn't have anything else though. Oh, but I clicked away. We'll wait for that. It will probably just have to reload it. Okay, time to start going through code. Look at just the simple files first, because it's always easier to start on a file that has 4 changes and not 900. Are we no longer using holidays?
I don't know. I did not change this file.
Did you?
What happens to the setup file is wild. I have no idea what the setup file does.
Okay, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that it's kind of.
There was an error to do with holidays, and I don't know why it took it out. So I'm happy for that to be changed. Maybe this PR was started before that other PR, and maybe we just need to like discard the changes from setup.py, which I can do in locally.
Yeah. What was the error with holidays?
On the server, in the logs. In the logs on the server, it was like, holiday, there's no such thing as holidays. On my local server, when I did it, it was like, hey, where are the holidays at?
Oh,
like,
your
I don't know. Is
server.
that something somebody's using? Because I wasn't using it.
Okay. I think I understand. Okay, if it was your local server, you installed the toolbox in your playground. Mm-hmm. Installing things in the playground does not install their dependencies, and so if you install it in the playground and not on the server itself, then it would never have actually installed holidays. And then you're right, when you try and save it or do anything with it, it'll complain that, hey, there is no package named holidays because it never installed it. And so the issue, yeah, so I think you're right, and that's just a weird playground quirk, and we should undo this. We probably don't need holidays or pandas to be updated.
Yeah, or the README for that matter.
Did something change about the README?
In mine, I mean, it says so. We can put it in the diff checker. Anyway, all these changes should be reverted. So. No,
this is actually fine. It's the README changed because I handmade, or I touched the README.
Right, but why is mine showing a diff?
Because I don't touch this setup file when because I do things manually most of the time, and most of my changes are not through DocAssemble's Playground. And so if I changed the README, I changed the README earlier and did not run it through the Playground. And so the setup long description, like this long description shows up on PyPy, is essentially what it is. And so that didn't change. There's honestly, I've seen other packages that just have long description read directly from the README. I feel like that would be so much better. It's very difficult to read this very long line.
Maybe we could do that. That would be great.
Yeah, but that's a completely out of scope for sure.
Yeah.
Pandas. Okay. Start review. That's simple. Okay, CSS stuff. Realizing this is probably, I can't really actually review these independently. Maybe you can explain to me what certain CSS does, because I know enough, but I don't know a ton. Mostly, what is the root pseudo element?
I'm just setting a variable, so a CSS variable, so that I can reference it later. I was using it in a few different places originally, but if you look at line 20, you can see that I'm using it ALBS exclamation.
I see. I
So
see.
when I checked for the exclamation mark,
Mhm.
the error exclamation mark in the CSS, it was just this URL. It wasn't set to a variable that I could find. So I made my own variable so that I can reference it anytime.
No, that's good. That's from what I understand. This
You
is
can add
probably
a comment if you want that just says exclamation mark, but I thought the name was maybe clear, but apparently
no.
not.
Sorry, that was trying to clarify. That question is not like a. I think it needs to be clarified in the code. That was my curiosity. I don't remember what root does in CSS, and
Okay.
I don't think it's not worth it to comment
Yeah.
what like
Okay.
how code works, because
Yeah.
assuming you should know CSS is I think the idea.
I believe you can put styles in root as well, but I don't know that it does very much because it's not any element. It's just kind of
it's just there. It's
the
no yeah.
root of a document. It's not a visible thing.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
just a namespace in which to put stuff, basically.
That makes sense, and I do think
Is my
I've
understanding.
yeah. Now that you mentioned that, I didn't didn't immediately note that this was a variable, and so you're right that I have seen other things put variables in root before.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, that's actually pretty fun. Not too necessary. Cool. Playground. Are we on the right package yet? Toolbox. We're on the right package. What's the name?
Well, you shouldn't have. I see. Okay, you installed from that branch though. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you also pull the package or go to the question file in the package, you can just copy the whole question file instead of like making your own fields, because it's much more complete example.
I see. What's the?
So it's
what example?
That's 3 parts date.yaml. That's the demo. We weren't calling things demo back then. So if you view the file, if you hit the ... on the right hand side of the
Is
file.
this still?
So hit the ... on the right hand side of the file.
No. Okay. If it's still sorry.
It's not the
I
same.
know what you're saying. Okay. I have in that case. I understand what you're saying. If it's already installed if it's installed with the thing, I can just go straight to that.
Oh, really? You have it installed as a thing?
Yeah. So any package you have installed
you can do
on your server, you can just directly go to that start / the name of the package / the name of the YAML.
I thought that had to be in dispatch. I think.
No, you can. Dispatch makes it shorter. Dispatch makes it you can just make it one word instead of package / the YAML, but you can do it to any YAML.
Installed on the server. Okay.
Installed on the server. I didn't realize that's that. In that case, do we want this?
Do we want what?
Sorry, that was the worst way of saying it. So people don't need to because we do have in other parts of the toolbox, we have the pattern that you can include the name of you can include that thing, like that YAML file, and it will include some Python code and like some CSS code necessary for the feature.
No, don't include this file.
The CSS isn't. Is the CSS necessary? Like, yes. Do you need to link to the CSS?
Is it necessary? Yes.
As in, like,
I mean, you can try it without the CSS, but it's not going to be great. So maybe we could change it so that this file would be the file you include. I want a file that's different with a different name. Really, I want AL split date.yaml to include, but then it would require naming everything differently. Yeah,
I'm sort of about that too. I I think if we wanted to, if we thought it would be useful, this is the same type. Like, we're not drastically changing how things work. We're just making it nicer, right?
Yes.
Nothing about this is breaking. So I don't think it's worth it trying to like rename the type.
Yeah, but I think it's worth doing that at some point. And so making another file that depends on the old name is gross to me. I don't know.
I don't think it's gross.
Okay.
I also am not sure, like, is it just the AL part, namespace part, that you really want to change?
Well, I also think, like, if we call it 3-parts date, then it sounds like it's just the 3-parts date. If we call it a split date, then that's a general category for both of them. Though I wanted to change the other one to split part date anyway, so I don't know.
I see.
I mean, to split date.
Oh, okay, I see. So if you're saying they can use either of these if they just imported that one.
Yeah.
That's fair. We could, the way I think we could address that by just doing 3-part state and we having a 3-part state.yaml and a birth date.yaml that do essentially the same thing. And so if you wanted to, like, oh, I'm only using it, it would just make more sense of like, oh yeah, I always include this .yaml for the other things. I'm using birth date. Let me include birth date.yaml. I don't know if that is practically would help, but that
makes me sad. But I can.
No, I know. Yeah, sure. It's definitely sad. I don't know if it's blocking for sure. That could be a separate PR. I do think I would propose at least changing this demo to like demo because we use this we do use this phrasing or like this convention of the name of the feature.yaml for like including it, and that would change things.
Yeah, sure. Make a comment. It's a good idea.
Sorry, I'm realizing that I'm going so slow because I have to vocalize what my thoughts are and then I have to type them out.
That's okay. Just type them. I can read. A feature demo? You mean?
No. Specifically because we have stuff like include collapse template.yaml if you want to use that feature. Like I don't think we have a convention for the demo, and I really don't. If we want to make one, that's fine. But mostly the issue here is that this is the same name as the convention for other things. So if people were like, oh yeah, I can just do 3-parts dates.yaml, that should work. It works with everything else, and it hijacks their interview with a mandatory block.
So we should make a separate file.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we should make a separate file that just includes the CSS.
Pretty much, yeah. So I would like a file that has these 6 lines can stay in 3-part state, and then everything else can go to the demo or something.
So I think maybe then we do want to call them AL 3-part state stuff, but I don't know.
We can, we could definitely do the demo, give the demo that name, I think.
I mean, what I mean is the classes a different name, like just alias them, because if we call the file AL 3-part state, then people might expect the data type to be AL 3-part state, you know?
If we called it, I would suggest we stick with 3-part state. If we do that, did I type 3-part AL 3-part state? No, I think we should leave it. Does that? You're right. Like that should match the class.
Okay.
The alias isn't actually a bad idea because it's like we own the AL namespace. Like no one else is going to be making things called AL 3-part state, so it wouldn't hurt to do that. And that is something I think we have said we were going to start doing things elsewhere. But you're right. That's like I think that's a separate PR. That doesn't need to. Yeah. It's additional stuff. It's not like it has to. This sort of stuff would have to wait. Okay. Yeah. So we got all of this. This is a custom required message. I am literally typing whatever for now. Oh, wrong button. First take the past. Good and cool. All very good. Awesome. Okay. Mostly doing this. Like I had tested a little bit out last time, and I hadn't really been able to break anything. But I am curious to
replicate
the bugs so I can understand them, because I think there's like the different stages of submission were things I did not quite understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Outline is restored after a new on-page error. The on-page investigation fields filed. Message will lose the outline, but only have one message. After the outline for the on-page validation will appear, but won't contain the error message. I think I need your help understanding this one.
Which is good, because maybe I can clarify the bug then.
Yes, so yeah.
Okay, so any on-page invalid messages in any fields filled, right? So get an invalidation message.
So like this one, right?
After fields filled, message will lose the outline. Any on-page invalidation messages, TH, great Michelle. On any fields filled, message will lose the outline, but only have one message thereafter. I think if you hit submit, so for example, oh my God, I can't believe that is such an unclear. I thought I was doing such a good job. Wow.
Not your fault. I do that.
That's fine. So delete one of the fields. Delete the contents of one of the fields. Okay. Now press submit. I guess delete the contents of the date field and press submit. So there.
Okay, and
it doesn't have the outline. Now, okay. now add another invalidation message.
Like that.
So see, no, I'm just, you can already see it. The outline doesn't surround the error message.
Oh, okay. Okay, I understand. So it's,
and also this is for required, so required fields.
Okay, so it would be like
when
this one.
When a field is required, including a partially filled,
did I just do that one?
Non-required date. Yes. You did do that because the field was required, because other fields were not, because there was one field filled.
Well, no, but the error message wasn't doing what we had just described. So I was like, okay, if we have just the month, day and year are not entered. We hit enter, there it adds this specific thing.
Right, but
now it's wrapped around.
But you didn't trigger an error message to begin with.
Oh, so you. Okay. I didn't realize that was a special part of the recreation. Okay, so do that, then get rid of it, then continue. It's there.
Oh, I think for required, I solved that one or something with add to groups.
Okay.
So with non-required fields, maybe.
So it's a non-required
I don't
thing.
know.
That would make sense.
Ugh.
So like, it's very long and wrong. It is now partially empty. It's complaining about this more often than I would want it to. Not really, just okay. But now it's empty. Enter year. I had another thing, and okay. Okay, so it is only for non-required ones. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And if I'm guessing, it's because of like the ID of whatever it gets, or like where it gets added in the page after submitting.
Say that once again.
Like my guess is it's just an issue with like some conflict between, oh, we're adding this error message through JS query dynamically versus the message that gets added on a validation or like a submit to the server. And it's just slightly different enough that once it's like when we get it back from the server, it's not seen as part of this group for some reason.
So my current guess is that submission to the server is doing its own validation type stuff with messages and groups and rules.
Mm-hmm.
And once the error is on the page from submission, right, from whatever the submission did,
mm-hmm.
Then jQuery validation doesn't care about groups anymore. It doesn't even run error placement anymore. It's running the docassemble error placement.
I see. Okay.
I know what it might be. Oh. Hang on, let me write this down before I lose it.
Go for
But
it.
it might be this. No, it's not that, because error placement doesn't even get run at all. Never mind.
Well, so if we trigger it, the error exists. It's not being shown because you don't need to show it. That's fine. Enter. Enter here is now outside. Okay, I don't know how you. I don't know how you figured it, solved it with the required part, but for the not required part, it looks like the error is just the. I would
So
guess
this
it's
is a
the fact
different
that-
error. This is not a required error. This is a different error. And I think that's the problem with it.
Do you
Like
group
the required errors are different. They're just different.
They're just different? Okay.
They're just different.
That would explain it. Yeah, but I guess it just makes sense that like normally these are just two different things, and they're in this like outer div, like this date field part. But when we replace the input with our div, like our widget, this is still outside of that.
Yeah.
I
think so.
Yeah, but it's outside of that, but it still has like the same ID or whatever, and so we're not duplicating it or adding another one, which is honestly one of those, like, it's not perfect, but I wouldn't say it's breaking or like it should prevent us like from.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a preventing thing. It's just unclear.
Yeah.
But
I don't even say it's unclear. I think it's just a little inconsistent. Like, I wouldn't say if you showed two people like these, like the two different screens of what happens before and after this error happens, like I feel like the error that's happening is still clear. it's just not consistent between like, oh, sometimes it's in the box, like it's still right next to the box, and so I think it's still very clear what's going wrong. And I don't think any user would have trouble between one or the other. It's just inconsistent, which is not perfect. All that to say, okay, I understand this one more. And sorry, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, hang on. I'm actually going to write something down first. So you continue.
Write something down.
There is one that I can't replicate. That gets 2 messages on there, 2 separate messages. I may have solved it, so it may not be a problem. Yeah. So sorry, let's go on to the second one. Required fields with default values don't get invalidated when they are first emptied. So this you'd have to edit the playground file for to see this happening.
You'd have to, okay.
I think you can actually show hidden fields. I think you'll be able to see it with that. If you show hidden fields.
Okay.
So if you delete one of the years, for example, delete the year completely.
Yeah.
Then press outside, there's no error. Well, until you submit, right?
Oh, okay.
No immediate error.
I see.
You have to then go back, enter in a value, blur, so enter some value.
Yeah. And then go back.
And no, enter a value.
Oh.
Then click outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then click back into it and delete the value. And then you will get the required message.
Yeah, that one's kind of wacky too.
So that's not great. I think that's worse than the other one. I'll
Agreed.
Prioritize them.
I agree that one's worse than the other one. Is that? Yeah.
I haven't figured out a way at all. What is going on? GitHub. Yeah, so I haven't figured out any way to change that at all. Like we can't change it so that, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's weird though.
I mean, does it work for regular docassemble fields?
Maybe. Correct. Docassemble fields.
Nope.
Yeah, I think that makes sense though, because that's how required works.
But
required will only submit. Required will only validate on submit.
Oh, well, I validate required, not on submit. So if we want, we can change my behavior so I'm not validating requirement on until submit at all, right? Not on page at all.
I still like I like the behavior though. I do think pushing more things towards
immediate feedback.
Immediate feedback is better, yeah. So that's just that is an upstream thing. that.
But see, if you put a value in
Mm-hmm.
and then click out and then delete the value, you will get the error message. That's how mine works as well, because that's the only part that I can do. But the thing is that you go between fields, so it shows up, right, as opposed to not showing up.
I see.
Like when it
Okay.
evaluates one field, it evaluates all the other fields, so you're more likely to get an error.
Say that again. I'm not sure if I'm following that exactly.
So leaving out any single, and whenever any field gets validated, the other fields also get validated.
Mm-hmm.
Though not in the programmatic way that you might think. So, so like I think if you edit year or something, I don't know. Yeah.
So it's if you do two of them.
If you just do one, then you won't get.
But if you do two of them, you will.
Yeah. I think even if you put anything wrong in the second field, like if you put 133 or something in the day field, I think you'll still get errors, and thereafter you will
Yeah,
get
it's
the
actually
required error.
Yeah, when I was playing around with it, it would. Yeah, when I was like playing around with it, it's like, oh, it only does it if you fully delete everything at once. If you like just backspace, no, it was doing that. Yeah. What did I do?
It isn't the fact that you backspace one at a time. It's the fact that you leave the field and come back, or you trigger another validation error. If you trigger another validation error, it's just that required doesn't like evaluate.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you know, like other things do, but required doesn't. Required is just a pain. Freaking weird.
Yeah, I would guess. I can't even guess anything. I don't know why. It's one of those like it's just a weird. It is. I would say I would agree. This is definitely.
I think if you dug into the library, you'd be able to see it more quickly than me, but you'd have to really dig in.
Yeah, I'm trying to just think if this is like how much of a priority is this?
Yeah.
I definitely agree. It's worse than the first one, but it's still like it gets shown, and it's also like a very specific thing that someone would have to see the default and then delete it, and not like act like because that's the thing is if you do like if you accidentally like I can't imagine people deleting an entire year and not immediately typing something. I could see someone like deleting part of it going forward, at which point it's like we get a different validation
error message. Yeah.
And yeah, we don't have that issue anymore. And so it is like a very specific thing, and I'm trying to think through if like if people would come across it often. I'm still one of those. It is one of those that it's like I don't think it's confusing. I think it's frustrating if it's like just because generally if it's a longer page and this is one of the things on it, it's frustrating to go through the whole page, then click continue. Oh, I have to go back.
Yeah.
And so that's a little frustrating, but I don't think I'm trying to think if that's like how often that would happen. I don't know if you have thoughts there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, generally for predicting people's behavior, I say you can't.
Okay.
Like you just don't know. Users do weird things all the freaking time.
That's fair.
So Like, I just try not to predict people's behavior, but you know, so the question is it tolerable, or do we just want to see how it goes, you know?
Mhm.
And also write it in the documentation, right? This is an expected behavior, so that when people ask us, we can be like, look, I'm a documentation.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards it's an expected behavior. I mean, from most of these, at least like reading through, it's like just there's a lot more upstream that is like definitely causing this, and we can only do so much for.
Yeah. So going on to the next one, because otherwise we'll be all day at this.
You're right.
Unless you have more like.
No, it's yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes after submission, one validation message will be inside the outline, another outside it, but I haven't been able to replicate that consistently. When one non-required field is empty on submission and there is on-page invalidation error, the error appears with no width. It deleted all my WIs. That's really weird. After that, getting a non-submission invalidation message will show the red outline, but the error will be outside of it. See, it deleted WI. Why did it delete WI?
The error appears in the red outline. After that, getting a non-submission will show the red outline. The error will be outside of it. Oh, that feels very similar to this one, right?
Yes, it's very similar to the other one. Yep.
Okay, that's fine.
And then don't worry about the note. That's just like kind of part of why I think got rid of the ER. So weird. So missing error message is the last one, and I think actually I'm gonna change it and put that at the top with the other one that we think is more significant.
Yes. Submit validation only shows an error for one split date. Even if okay, yeah, that was the way I was just playing around with that one when we were chatting a second ago. Even if there are more fields on a page. Yeah, so if we do this, it only shows this error and not. Wait, what?
Well, no, just on submission when two ones have a submission validation error, not one of my errors, not an on-page error. So refresh and.
What would the submission errors be that aren't?
So, for example, required. So delete the day of the first one.
Yeah.
And then just submit. Right.
Okay. And then listen. Then it will show it day. Okay. This is definitely more also in the like frustrating category, but
well, this thing is like you won't get the right. Like it's just wrong. Like you're getting the wrong information on the page.
You're getting incomplete information, not wrong information.
Well, like you're not getting the information that for one that is invalid, you're not getting the information that one is invalid. That
yes, yeah.
Missing information.
No, it is, and I agree. I'm just saying it's not. If you follow the instructions on the page, you will have to go through a few times. It won't be like saying, "Oh, this is wrong," and it's not, or it won't be like just not giving you the error at all.
Yeah.
Is my triage? It's the optimistic way of looking at it. And this is also an upstream thing. It looks like because it's the submission part.
Yeah.
is it a thing that shows up with, go with,
Oh, I forgot to write one down.
how useful?
Which is that when a non-required field when I think I tried it with non-required. I don't think I explored this one as much because I completely forgot about it, but this is the same as previous behavior. When a non-required field has an error, when you submit, the information in a required field will be deleted. It might be the other way around too. I just don't know. Yeah. So fill out the required field completely.
Yeah.
And you'll see it's valid. And then hit continue. And then it's empty.
That seems honestly like the most priority one. It would be very frustrating. Okay. Okay, that's fair. So I think, at the very least, I do think we've like triaged them a bit more, and so we know like these two are like not good, should fix first. The other two are just like inconsistent, but still like pretty clear. And honestly, that the last one you just mentioned is, I would say, the most annoying because
yes,
it's like we are actively like, it's a harm. It's like actively like not respecting what someone has already typed in.
Yeah, but this is a pre-existing one, not a me one.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen with other fields. This is just our field.
Just ours?
Yeah, and this is the one that Jonathan said, hey, this might be that you are requiring a jQuery rule that doesn't exist. That you're saying there's a jQuery rule and it doesn't exist, but we don't have that in the code anymore and it's still happening. So that's not the problem.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Okay. Refresh. So we do this. I'm seeing what we get back. Nothing at all. Here with this one and this one then. I can't tell anything. I don't think this is it. Okay, that may take more of a deep dive to do. If we want to focus on it, I think it'd be worth it. That's the only one that I feel like I'm still on the fence for. For fixing before merging. Other things,
but I didn't break that. That's already broken. Like I'd want to fix it, but it has nothing to do with this PR.
I know. I know, sorry, but fix it is more of fixed doc assemble. All of these feel like fixed doc assemble things because none of these should, like, writing a custom data type should not be this hard for doing the thing that we want to do in a custom data type, which is like a whole lot of on-page validation. That's why you have most of your custom data type stuff. Like, it just shouldn't be this hard. So all I have to say is like this one does feel like the biggest priority to fix, but how exactly I would not be sure. Also, because I'm not super familiar with how DocAssemble tries to like repopulate some of them. It's also weird because I don't know why it like resets the whole page.
You can try giving that a default value and see if it keeps the default value, for example. Like, does it just reset it to whatever it was?
I just don't understand like what it's even doing now.
Yeah. I suspect the problem is that it's not saving the previous value. Because if it had a previous value, we would copy it, but it obviously doesn't submit the value that is not valid, right? I mean, that is valid. It doesn't submit any of the custom data type values or whatever.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can just recreate it or like what the actual action it's doing. Sure. Because it's not, so it's not.
That's going to be valid.
Oh. I meant to do the other way around. Well, it's going to be valid too. What am I supposed to?
I think it's JavaScript. I think you have to do val quote.
No, you don't have to do JavaScript for this, I think.
Oh, okay.
You shouldn't have to.
But I think you have to use val because it's okay.
Oh, okay. I don't want to waste any more time with that. I think it's worth talking to. I think it's worth bringing it up
again.
Yeah. I think it's worth bringing it up again if he was like, "Oh, it's because you're using this jQuery thing." It's not. It's on there. It's clearly on the DocAssemble side because the page is reloading.
Yeah, and it doesn't. Yeah, I wonder if we put the required field first, if that would make a difference. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't need to.
It's yeah, that's fair. It's a quick check though, because right down here, the invalid field or the required field is first.
Like I'm saying, what if the invalid field is, so put a month in.
Yeah.
Just so that there's some kind of error, and let's see if the. Oh, interesting.
But now we just straight up. This is a.
What was an error?
A is undefined. I love minimized code. It is our code though.
It's in DA validation handler though. Oh yeah, that's fine. DA validation handler is just the validation handler. So click on the anonymous thing. Click on the 3-part state, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Oh, I always forget that it can sometimes be nice. It was that line. I do it again just to make sure. Because it did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would also say this one would need to be fixed. Because this just does break the page entirely.
Yeah. But it only deleted it didn't delete stuff that had default values. I bet if we change the default values I bet if we change the default values, it would go back to the default values. I think it's just not loading the information. Like it just doesn't save the information for the other fields.
Yeah, which I do think is like feels like an upstream issue. Whatever it is, it feels like an upstream issue, even if it's something in like weird that we're doing. Docker symbols shouldn't just return none and required. And if we can confirm it's an upstream issue, and it's something that like, or at least we'd be able to, yeah, if we can confirm it's an upstream issue and be like, hey, all like no custom data type stuff, but all Docker symbol stuff, like this is happening. Somehow,
yeah, but I don't think it is happening with anything other than the custom data types.
Was it custom data types, or is it validation? Is it server side validation? Because that's what I couldn't tell, and it looked like it was a bit of. It looks like it's mostly the server side validation stuff. It's when the server validation. This might be custom data type stuff, sure. But the issue of just deleting people's data, that looks like it's a server side validation issue.
Yeah, but it's not happening with any of the other types of fields that I couldn't replicate it with anything other than our fields.
Okay.
But we can try. I don't know if now's the time, but we can try. If not now, then when?
Yeah, that's fair.
Not us, then who?
And mostly, yeah, it is starting to spiral in terms of tons of different things we could be doing. I guess I don't know. Calls validate. A is not defined.
There's a success handler in 3-part state. I mean, there's a bunch of things in 3-part state that we can try and explore.
Mm-hmm.
In the console. And now that we have this recorded, we have the availability to
That's fair.
Replicate all this stuff.
What about in the console you were saying?
In the console, just there's a lot of places where 3-part state is named. And so we can try and like hunt down where those are. Though it wasn't actually in 3-part state. It was in the core code.
Yeah.
That was running 3-part state. So I don't know if it's actually useful.
I mostly just don't understand what's happening here.
Well, there's a lot of stuff happening in there, but here,
Oh, this is just the entire HTML.
yes, this is just all the scripts he's added to the file. I think it's in server.py or parse.py or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that part before.
And he's just doing validation, like jQuery validation plugin stuff.
Is this is code that we've written though?
No.
Interesting. Maybe it is an upstream thing then. I'm stumped on how to continue for right now without like wasting a bunch of time on camera.
No, I mean, we would. Yeah, that would be what we would do. Like,
sure. That's fair.
Make that choice, but
I don't think it's the best choice to make.
Be making.
Did you say had you been? I wasn't sure if you had been updating this or not.
I have. I can update what I've got so far.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, you had said you had been writing a bunch of things down. I just didn't know where you were doing that.
Where is it though? Hope it's still there somewhere. Yes. and I'll update it, but really I need to watch the video. To do watch bid for date 2023, 2023, 03, 12, 13, 13, watch deep dive or lots of replication. Bid. Okay, I will just post those changes so far, but I haven't reported that bug because I don't yet know how to replicate it without watching the video.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it was when we were trying to replicate the last bug, but we were,
Yeah.
but we were trying to do the hidden part. So, okay. I think those, but I think that if we wanted to like do specific things, this would be the one part that it feels like our code could fix, or like we could fix in our code somehow, or at the very least we need to know more about it because it does break the page. Everything else I think is still annoying. Other things we could do would still be better, but this is the only one that like is actively like breaking the page, not showing the date type anymore, and just losing all of the validation. So I'd say that's when this one's blocking. Everything else would be very, very nice. But I'd say this is the only blocking one in that PR, and I can summarize that. And I don't think I got a chance to look at there's the code, but I know we've talked a lot about the API, and I think this is the good part of the API. Or like we've talked a lot about the API, and I think that like how you're writing the min and max and stuff is good. We've talked about that a lot, so
yeah. So yeah, I mean we can keep exploring this PR. I mean the bugs I think is the main part that needs to be addressed, but if you want we can go through the code and I can tell you what's going on in it. And stuff like that. But basically a lot of JavaScript stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sometimes clear and sometimes less clear. Doing my best. As ever. So let me know. Well, let's decide now if we're going to go through the code itself or if we want to move on to something else or whatever.
I don't have a preference. I think if I do get the time to like look at this and sort of help out in the case that you would not have the time to like help me go through things, then I think I'd probably be okay. And because I do think a lot of this is going to be either upstream in how Docassemble is handling a lot of it, or it's going to be how, or it's going to be like weirder browser JavaScript stuff that I don't understand.
Like I feel like we should also test the original 3-part date and see if that last one happens in the original 3-part date as well. Or if it's something that I've done, right? That would be good. That might be fairly fast.
Yeah, that's actually true. We changed a lot of these initial ones. Yeah. Oh, we had submitted one, so it was most okay. So that yeah, you're right. We should be able to update most of, or yeah, we should be able to just run the exact same thing on main and see if that happens. And at that point, yeah, I'd be a little more lenient if it's blocking.
You're not sharing anymore, by the way, just FYI.
I am aware.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's restart that. Share again. Reproduction was simply that, and then I filled in this one partially.
Well, maybe it is my fault.
So it's, I
Do you
still don't
remember
think,
exactly what we did?
I'm pretty sure that was exactly what we did because we were trying to. It was when we had a required, or yeah, it was when we had a non-required unfinished. It would delete the required, and so we were just trying to recreate that with a different order. If like the required one was first and this one was second, but it then completely broke. And it still feels like an upstream thing.
Well, it is showing up. Oh,
There it is. So it's harder to recreate, but it is still there. You just have to give a completely wrong. You have to fill in all three. Whereas now, if you submit it with one of them empty, I guess it just passes on to a different stage of the validation, probably the server side validation. But it does look like it's the same issue. TA process Ajax. I don't know where that would be.
or maybe there's an additional part that's required that's like you have to have had one error already or something that we missed along the way.
I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of whether or not something triggers JavaScript. Yeah, I think it's just whether or not something triggers JavaScript validation versus if it triggers server side validation. And there's something when we get the response back from the server side, something's going wrong with how the custom data type is being loaded.
But this didn't have any JavaScript validation.
It does. Yeah, it does. Because that it doesn't have
but that's from our like Python.
That's from our Python?
Yeah.
What does our Python look like now? Right here. Go away. That's very difficult to see.
The Python is basically the same. So 3 parts data is a little higher. A little higher.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
Yep. Look for answer with. Look for answer with. Yeah.
Yeah, so answer with date of birth, or a valid date of birth. No, that's JavaScript. Is it not?
Maybe.
I don't know where that gets picked up. There's a lot of like magic variable JQ stuff set in.
Yeah.
In custom types. Maybe
it is JavaScript then.
Actually, we can tell for sure. Not here.
Maybe the jQuery rule date is what is causing that to fire.
I think so. Yeah, it's okay. It's definitely JavaScript though, because if you when you still have to go and you still have to like click continue. But here, trash.
Just put
When you click continue, nothing gets sent to the server. So it is JavaScript. It's just not firing until you try to submit.
Yeah.
And then if we do the same thing, where if we type something very wrong, it will get past JavaScript stuff. Yeah, if we can get past the JavaScript, it then on reload something's going very wrong. So okay, given it's, I still think it's probably worth trying to at least understand and fix it a bit more, because this feels like it's much more likely to be triggered accidentally by someone.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
Though
Which is
not exactly the end of the world, because they can still fill it in. But it's not good. That's true.
That's actually a good point. We are somehow actually... okay, it actually does... No, it doesn't. Something's very wrong. Sorry, I should have stopped. Should have kept sharing, because
what are we saying?
It will, like, you can't type anything in it. If you try to type anything in it, it will like say, "Hey, give me a valid date." But then if you type in a valid date, it goes back to the same page. It does not, like, okay.
Well, I think it's just not showing that last error. I think you need to fix that last date.
Okay, you're right. That's what it was. However,
it's not showing the validation error, which is...
It's not showing any errors on the page, which from the user's perspective is like, the page is broken.
Very confusing, yeah.
Yeah, so... okay. Okay, well, okay. I don't know. I'll let to say it completely breaks validation for... honestly, I feel like that's a worse case for the user, is to still... Sometimes the validation still works, but not always. And if it's not working, we'll just not let you progress. We won't like stop validating things.
Yeah.
Is the worst user experience there. Okay.
We could try taking away JQ date, jQuery rule date, or whatever, and seeing if it just like has correct date validation. Like that might tell us something. I'm just saying as a next step.
As a good next, yeah, that is a good next step. For just seeing like if we can fix this on the current like main stuff. Is that the idea? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think that's probably a good one. I don't know if we want to keep doing this. Sorry, I don't. Do we want? I guess that is the question. Do we want to keep doing this specifically because I think we got a little sidetracked again, and we weren't sure if we wanted to do this more, or if we wanted to just sort of put a pin in this. We know there are some issues with it. We know they're likely upstream. Let's ask Jonathan again.
I mean, I was excited about the running the thing in the playground, but if we want to hunt this down, I think that's worthy of time as well. So
I'm excited. I think we've done enough on this. You're right. It did take longer than I thought it was going to.
Yes, always. Dates are always hard. I don't think the problem is with the date now, though.
It's not even with dates. This is all just validation
Input
issues.
fields.
And this is stuff that should be very simple to get right. But I'm sure it's just not tested very well.
Well, I don't know that it's very simple to get right in general. I mean, that's why people have written whole libraries for it, you know?
I guess so, but like,
It
I don't know.
feels, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm just saying. It's like, it is not, validation is not a simple problem. But it does feel like there's something fundamentally going on that is kind of buried deep in the bowels of the process.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
Running Dockable on the running kiln on Dockable.
yeah. So till 15. Inclusion significant pre-existing bugs found. All right. I can try and rewatch the video and write this up later or something. Or if you have a clearer memory of what all went on, then I mean, feel free to.
I've got a clearish memory. I'm typing in quick like request changes on the PR just so we have documented what we did.
Yes. Just make sure to write that it's pre-existing stuff.
Yeah,
not
that's
like new stuff. That we want to check it without jQuery rule, JQ rule.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. I'll stop the video. No. The next step. I mean, it's not just Vanity that has me requesting you to write that it's a pre-existing thing. It's also like if you're trying to hunt down this bug,
it will be
a
easier to.
good thing to know. Like
Yes, yeah.
instead of having to rediscover that.
No, I know.
Okay.
And you're definitely right. It's honestly, it's probably a bit. It's more difficult to trigger the bug, but it's probably a bit easier, or it might be a bit easier to like
What?
actually debug it, just because there's like less JavaScript, there's less code that's happening in this in our on main
the
than there is
original one, yeah.
now. So there's just more stuff that's making it might get in the way a bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
What have I done? Oh no, made a mess. Fun. Don't have it over here.
Okay. You're just taking a quick break, right?
No, I'm here. I'm good.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, I thought you were actively doing, uh, like just getting
I
this guy.
was just while you were writing stuff, but
Oh, okay.
I'm good.
Do we want to keep working on your machine for Hail Kill on Takasumo?
Let me just find the get it running off the playground. Let me just find the where is it? I got a response from Jonathan that said nothing that I could determine as useful, but is this it? This is not it. What is going on? Oh, this is it. I'm just in a different tab. Jeez. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So I asked a question in the Slack. Which you should be able to see, but I can summarize.
We. Oh, okay. Yes, yeah. That was.
So he says, make dir is not working. That's fine. You can avoid an error that way. When you testing from the console, you should make sure I would suggest adding more logging to verify that it is looking in the correct path to find tests. I don't know where we do the logging because it's an absolute path.
We don't do logging. That's all Cucumber side.
No, I know, but where in Cucumber we could log it? We could log it in our stuff, right? I guess, yeah, that's true.
No, it's we just
I
pass
see what
Cucumber
he's
those
saying.
paths, and
Yeah.
Cucumber is
Yeah.
doing its own like search for everything.
When testing from the console, make sure you're replicating the context of subprocess call from a celery worker. That means doing suwww-data, setting the environment to match the environment that a celery worker would provide to the process, and setting the current working directory to whatever the celery worker would give the process.
I don't think we need to do that.
Well, I mean, we could try to replicate the problem in www-data.
We already
did that.
We should already be on www-data. One of the issues we ran into earlier was that we weren't running as a root. That's why we have this whole like install with the prefix path for .npm global, because we couldn't install it as root because we're not running at root as root. What like what other users are there?
I
don't know how to list users on Linux.
What are we doing? What is this? Server docker symbol. What is this called?
What is what called?
A document. You know what? I'll just try finding it by hand. Running docker symbol locally, of course. Of course. I'm just trying to find out how to because I had to restart my computer, so. do data. But I can't remember.
Well, so so I guess, okay, we weren't specifically setting anything. We weren't running as a root, but I guess he might be right, and we aren't also running as www data. Like it could just be some other random user that we're running as. Looking at the list of all of the users,
So I'm in www data now. So if you send me the commands, which I've forgotten.
Oh yeah.
And I will run them, and I will save them this time to somewhere more useful than nowhere. I remember they were different somehow than what I expected them to be. I mean, I should just be able to run the docassemble developer API key, blah, 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 alkiln run, right? Because we've installed and everything.
That's the idea. I just posted it in chat, but that's literally what it is, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's put that in.
That's a success. Cool. Okay. If that's a success, should we try running it from the beginning?
I mean, like in the playground?
In the playground, yeah.
Sure. I mean,
again, I guess just double check that it's the same command, because it should be similar command.
Like, so here's our code. We'll add the -p in.
Yeah. Oh, if
that helps.
It might help. If we do one other thing, we could also figure out the additional, the question of if we're actually running as the www data user, which we might not be. And so if we just do a subprocess run, or subprocess.run, who am I? It should, and then print that somewhere that we can see it. We should be able to tell what user it actually runs as.
I guess we just
Oh, I think you'll need to do capture output true. I think that's the only thing you need.
Okay. Did I get an error?
Yeah, and I was going to make sure if what the actual command we run later is right.
I just missed the
the
thing. Okay, so here we go.
Okay, else just output. Check false. Capture output true. Okay, that all looks right.
Yeah.
I think it's worth just trying to run. Still be curious if, yeah, it'll just be interesting. If for some reason we can run this exact same thing from Celery, or from Bash, but not from Celery. There aren't, looking at all of the environment variables, that are set in Bash, and none of them look suspicious. If something's still wrong, we could print out all of the environment variables, which would if we have the user and all of the environment variables, that's like pretty much everything that could differ between the Celery process and what we're doing in Bash.
Okay. So now we go to logs. Good, it's refreshing. www-data.
Cool. Okay, that's what I thought. So good to know. We're running as the right thing.
Need to update our version of Puppet here too. Update everything. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I was thinking. I was like, after we talked on Friday about stuff, I was like, oh, the best thing to actually do next.
I couldn't find any breaking changes to include. Like, we can include other changes. There's just even the node version isn't really a breaking change.
Exactly. Like, it will break someone, shouldn't really break us. So that's like the perfect thing to also just bump versions of the other libraries we're using for like, it's a major change.
That might break stuff for us.
Yeah.
So, but it wouldn't be a breaking change for our users as long as we fixed the stuff. But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's a good thing to just include in a major change of other libraries.
So yeah, it just doesn't find it. What can we log?
When the last npm install? Sorry, refresh. I'm realizing we're not on the page that's automatically refreshing. Sorry, what's the other page?
We're refreshed.
Well, no, what's the? Are we logging that one to log? Oh, but this one's refreshed. Okay, sorry, I didn't see that. We were still on the log page.
It says length 2 here.
That's just the printout of...
just how many paths are allowed.
I think so. Yeah. That's just the list of that length of that list, I guess. Because that's all JavaScript stuff, I think. Like we're printing that out from the run itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, yeah. I guess the thing to run would be just env. Like at the same spot that we were doing Who Am I?
But shouldn't we do that after we? Oh, whatever.
We'll do it at the same spot. We're not setting anything into the environment, so if we just get everything that's in the environment. And if that doesn't work, we can we don't need to run env. We can just log os.environ, I think. Yeah. Since that's like what we're using to do everything else. or like change the environment everywhere else. So, and at this point, I'm coming up with random things to do.
Yeah. I don't know if you can add to the conversation with Jonathan. If he has more than one person saying, you know, things are acting weird.
I don't think he's going to tell us anything we don't already know, though. Like, I think Jonathan's very useful when it comes to like things he's done in DocAssemble and like general intuition of like how things work. And I think he's right about the general intuition of making sure we're replicating the context of everything correctly. But and I know 100% he hasn't done stuff like this. He's installed one npm package through like the Docker container. I don't think he's does a lot of background tasks that are installing and running other things. Like essentially, I don't know if there's any. There's no extra context that I could add that you haven't already said, and nothing more specific I could try to like get out of him. Okay, so we have everything that is running.
See, user share is there.
Yeah, and that's just the DocAssemble. That's like the.
I'm just saying
that's a DocAssemble specific.
It exists, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to look for things that might be what's the word? Yeah, things that like look suspicious in terms of they're different, or things that look suspicious that like Cucumber would be using, or things that are just different, which I guess is the other thing to do is if we copy paste that log out and sort of nicely format it really quick, and then also see the difference between how we're running this in the bash or in bash.
Okay.
No. Def checker might not be entirely useful because we would get different. I
was just trying to put it in a place where everyone could see it. That's all.
That's right.
Also, I'm gonna have to run Python 3, aren't I?
What? No? Question mark?
No. To run the same like import OS.
No, that would be a different. I don't think we need to do that. So because essentially this is the context that we're running under Python. If you go back to the bash page that you had open, where we just directly ran the al run command where it worked, if you type env here, it will print out all of those same environment, or it'll print out all the environment variables, and it should print out similar-ish ones. We'll at least be able to tell more easily, like, oh, this one is like this environment variable in Python is different than like what's set in the environment variable here, sort of things. And we can see if any of those would be different enough to throw off Cucumber when it runs. Is my guess.
How do I split thing in Sublime into multiple panels? Do you remember?
Is there a right click split? In VS Code, you can right click the like file that's open, and there's a split up, split down, split left, split right. Like the top tab itself, you can right click and it will say split up, down. I don't know what it is in Sublime though. I have Sublime.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna share another window. I mean, There's lots of that is different, but
Okay. I don't know the best way to go about systematically doing this.
I mean,
But
this has like so much is not. So many things are undefined. I mean, it looks like so much is different.
yeah, but we can focus specifically on what we think might be like Cucumber might use.
Oh. Just trying to make them look similar. Okay.
Oh, that's actually very nice, yeah.
Here, commas would also be great. Okay, so we've got shell. Maybe there's a sort lines alphabetically online, but we've got no shell on this side.
Which is
Hostname. I mean,
which is
what are
fine.
things using?
Yeah, I'm not
Log
sure.
name, maybe?
No, so I don't think it's going to be random things specifically. I think it would be it'll be something that's referred to from the Cucumber code itself, because we're able to run Cucumber, so it's not like anything wrong with like Bash or like the sub process, because we can start it and it's running fine. It's internal to Cucumber. It is not finding the right thing. So so user's the same, right? Like it's www data in both places.
Yep, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. Are there any
And is
groups that
home
could
the
differ?
same? Home is the same. Let's just put the things that are the same at the top. User. There's no user on the left, so, but we know it's www.
Yeah.
I guess we don't know if it's www. Data. W data. With data. Does www ID count? $501.
That's I think
That's probably incidental.
no, that might be depending on how you ran the Docker container. That's like a environment variable you directly pass into Docker that Docker symbol reads and allows you to like your it lets you like look at your Docker symbol source code from inside of like files on your machine. It lets you use them on a like inside the Docker container. It lets you look at them normally without trying to like, change the ID, like the user ID of the files.
Mhm.
So
I will have to turn off the oven.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Can you see anything that's like important?
No,
Like,
nothing's-
I don't see anything that's interesting.
no, yeah, nothing's really standing out, and I'm trying to go through like the Cucumber stuff to see what it's looking at the environment for. And there's honestly not a ton. The only things that's documented are that it looks for Cucumber underscore like parallel underscore Cucumber underscore total workers, worker ID, etc. Like parallel things and not anything else. Like that's what Cucumber looks at the environment for.
Well, where does it find its files? I guess that's really the question. Because that's the only thing we're really having a problem with. We can find where it's trying to locate the files.
Yeah, that's fair.
Everything else is like would be in aid of pointing to that. I could go on to the Cucumber Slack. I mean, the questions I'm asking, I don't think it will take a lot to explain, but that's okay.
We'd have to very tailor our questions, I feel like. I'm not super sure.
Like, I'm not sure how to ask it in a way that like is clear enough to explain what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to run Cucumber on a server and it doesn't seem to be able to find the test files on the server.
Yeah, I think we could just state it as, hey, we're running Cucumber through the API. Like, this is the path we're passing to the API. However, running it in different running it this other way, it does not find the files we expect it to. Is like, I feel probably the best way to do it, or best way to phrase it. And focus specifically on like our JavaScript code and some of the environment, and a lot less on like it's being run from Python or all those other things. This is all
get a good question together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what my sharing is going to help with.
I'm just looking through our code to see if there's any weird stuff. Path require path. Wait, we might have an easier way. What we are already logging some extra stuff in Cucumber. Is any of that specifically different?
I mean,
from Bash, from Bash, and from what we're looking at in Python.
Like what stuff in particular?
So we're logging the run configuration, which is like it is what we pass the environment and everything. Like I would expect current working dir to be slightly different. And if that's the thing, we could always go to that exact working dir in bash and see if there's something up with it.
But like, so we're comparing the output is what we're saying?
Yes, it's a thing we're already outputting.
Okay. Hang on just a sec. Let me get those on here. Yeah. And it's not pretty, but I will share.
Okay, so sources, paths. We are passing import paths empty. Okay.
There's no tag expression
There's no.
in the bash one.
That's the bash one?
Yep. What am I supposed to be doing? I have 10 minutes.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, we are going. Whatever, sorry. I think that's fine. That's expected because we aren't passing any tags. Okay, so this is the bash one that's running, you said?
The one on the left.
I completely missed that we did both of these at the same time. Okay.
The one on the left is bash.
Okay.
The one on the right is playground.
Gotcha. Okay. For some reason, I was only looking at the playground one, and I was. They do look exactly the same. The tag, yeah, I guess the tag expression is different, and that's weird.
That's weird.
That would explain it, though.
Would it?
Yeah, we don't have anything tagged with just an @ sign.
That's true.
And it's only doing that if there's more than an extra, if there's like an extra argument, which maybe there's an extra argument.
That would be fun.
I think that explains it, and I think that's just that is an us issue. It's happening
But
when
why would they be different?
no clue. Bash processes input arguments very differently than Python probably does. What does the Python code we're running look like again? I have the code that's the JavaScript code that we're running. Very good. I missed the tag expression thing at first.
Thank you.
Oh,
So
there's a why are we passing a second blank string?
an empty string. Oh my God, is that it?
Yeah, that's definitely it. Because the issue is, so what we do if we pass in arguments to
You have to be
the
careful
JavaScript,
about that then.
we do, yeah. Because if we pass in arguments to the JavaScript or to like our Kiln JavaScript that starts running it, I specifically, if it's not like if nothing that you pass in has an @ sign at the front, I assume that you're doing the lazy thing and not passing in the @ signs in front of your tags, which is a feature I added, so you can just type the name of the tag, like the list of the names of the tags, and not the @ signs, and it will run all of those. And I guess when I was testing in Bash, there's no way to pass in an empty string as an argument in Bash, and so that would explain it.
I mean, you could add that check, or we could just try and not be stupid about it. I mean, you know what? Like, people are stupid, so maybe at some point we'll add that check, including us. I'm not saying that.
Yeah. No,
we are not excluded from that, obviously.
No, that's definitely a me issue because I test a lot in Bash and not like. Well, I guess we haven't.
I mean, there was no reason to test before.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Exciting. Okay. Cool.
Oh my God. I would not have meant to look for that though, but this is freaking amazing.
I am very happy about this. Question now.
Well, now I have to start working on inputs and like, do we need their ID? Can we get the ID from the URL? Maybe not.
We should be able to. We should be able to get we should be able to get their ID from Python, like the Python code that's running, and we just needed a way to pass it into.
You know what though? It's just a freaking address. Why do we need their ID? They don't need to give us anything other than the address of the interview they're testing. We wouldn't be able to give them a list of projects, right? Like to select, and a list of files to select from that project. But if they just want to give us the string to an interview, well, then how do we get the sources? Could we get the sources from that?
Oh, no, you're right. We need the playground to get the specific sources. Otherwise, we have hard coded everything we need in here. And so if we do start looking for specific sources, we need the playground for that for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, do we?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
It's sorted by project.
But is it anywhere in the DOM, or is it anywhere like, because like.
Well, okay. Pausing again. It's not that so the Python code could figure out everything. We could just ask for these single, like, hey, what project do you want to run? Or what playground project do you want to run? Okay. Like, you want to run this one? Cool. The Python code now knows everything that we need, or like can get all of these different pieces of information. We only need to ask the user that one question. The issue is just being able to pass it into Kiln.
But we can pass it into Kiln just fine. I mean, Like
Not
this
currently.
is, we can make it a function and then pass in an argument.
Well, no, Kiln does not. Kiln only has like 5 environment variables, and right now the environment variables are like doc symbol API key. There is no longer a like user ID or whatever, and so we can change
Right,
Kiln
but
and we can do that.
I'm just
but-
trying to think if they actually need, if we could get the sources files somewhere else. Because the sources are getting in here, right? The source files are getting in here somehow.
because we're getting in here right now because we hard coded the path to the one that we added.
No. I mean, just in general, don't the source files get into the site?
Do you mean in the interview?
Yeah, like when you use CSS files, right? When you add a CSS file, it gets added to page and you can get it here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I have to go, but
Okay, that's fair.
things
Yeah.
to think about. Things to think about.
Okay, sounds good. See ya.